Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, we are talking about minimalism. Would it be beneficial for us to just completely simplify our lives? So that's what we're going to discuss today, because life is crazy, isn't it? And sometimes we can get overwhelmed by the amount of things that we own, that we have, that life puts our way, and they can create a lot of stress. So is there merit? Is there an argument for us turning to a more minimalist life? So what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to talk about what minimalism actually is, why it could be beneficial, and then interestingly, we're going to look at 10 minimalist life rules, if you will. So just to say at the outset, this is by no means life advice. I do not live by these rules myself, intentionally. But I just thought it was an interesting topic to talk about, particularly as life just gets busier and busier. Would it be beneficial to just kind of reset and start in a more minimalist way? So that's what we're going to talk about. And as always, as well as practicing your listening skills, we're going to look at vocabulary and isolate key points to make sure that we fully understand what we're reading. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe. Give this video, this podcast, a like on whatever format you are watching it on. It really helps me out. Introduce yourself in the comments. And if you are a returning viewer, follower, or subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you've had a good week, whatever you have been doing, wherever you are in the world. And I hope that this weekend you've had a little bit of time just to unwind and relax. And hopefully this time with me will help you to do that. If you haven't done so already, check out last Sunday's episode where I had a lovely conversation with my wife, Heather. And it appears that you guys quite enjoyed having her on the podcast. She got a lot of good feedback, rightly so, I would say. I know I'm biased, but she was probably my favourite guest I've had on the podcast. And actually, I really enjoyed it. So if I can persuade her to do so, you might be seeing a bit more of her on the podcast. I'm thinking maybe once a month, once every other month, and we'll just have just a conversation about different topics. So if that does tickle your fancy, if that's something you think you'd enjoy, please do let me know in the comments. And of course, if you haven't done so already, check that episode out. It's much more interesting with my wife there, rather than just listening to me go on and on. But yeah, before we get into it, you know what I'm going to say? Get yourself comfortable. Just relax. You know, this isn't about understanding every single word. This isn't about being perfect. This podcast is just about enjoying and listening to real, authentic English so that you can be best prepared for when you come over here and have a visit. Visit London, visit the Cotswolds, wherever you're going in England. Hopefully this helps you to be best prepared, to have conversations and just enjoy using the English language. So yeah, just relax, grab a cup of tea, grab a coffee, make some lunch, some brunch, whatever. Minimalism. What is it and why is it beneficial? So let's first isolate that word minimalism. What is it? Minimalism is a lifestyle and way of thinking that focuses on intentionally living with less in order to make space for what truly matters. It is not about owning nothing or living without comfort. Instead, minimalism encourages people to remove excess and keep only what adds real value to their lives. So that is the the true essence of what minimalism is. So it's a way of thinking, it's a thought process. And the idea here, it's interesting, it raises this word, intentionally living with less. So when we do something intentionally, it is with thought. It is something that we want to do. So we intentionally live with less so that we can make space in life for what truly matters. And I guess what truly matters is different to all of us. But that's the idea. But where I was perhaps a little bit wrong on this idea of minimalism is that it's not about owning nothing or owning as little as possible, so to speak. It's just encouraging us, or the idea of removing all of the excess, keeping just what really adds value. And I think if we're being completely honest, I look around my office now, there's a lot of excess in life. There's perhaps a lot of things that we don't need. When we have an excess, we've got more than we need. And this can be applied in many different areas. Possessions and living spaces. If you look around your house, there's nothing wrong with it, but we've all got stuff we don't need, but it's there. But what's interesting is that this isn't just applying to physical materials. Time. Remove the excess, the daily routines, digital life. God, my goodness, how much excess do we have in digital life? We're going to expand upon that a bit. Thoughts, the way we think, habits, commitment. So it's interesting here that at its heart, at its core, minimalism is really asking one important question. When thinking about different things, different aspects of life, does this improve my life in a meaningful way? Does it have a true impact? Does it add value to my life? If the answer is no, well, a minimalist would say, maybe it's something worth letting go of. Now, I think some people take this to the extreme, but I guess I'm not saying that from this podcast all of us have to become minimalists. I'm certainly not going to. But I do think there's an argument for certain aspects of it, and definitely some of the rules, the minimalist rules that we're going to look at. So why is minimalism beneficial? In a fast-paced and consumer-driven world, so fast-paced meaning that life is going at a rapid speed, it's true, isn't it? And a consumer-driven world, the world is driven by sales and what we buy. Minimalism offers both practical and emotional benefits. So it's not just about money. It's about everything. The first reason that perhaps minimalism might be beneficial is that it reduces stress. Cluttered spaces often lead to cluttered minds. Now, when we think about that word, cluttered, it's kind of the idea that everything is there, but without order. If I think of a cluttered kitchen, there's no worktop space. The kettle's there, the microwave's there, the bread maker's there. There's cups out, there's sauces out, there's pans out. It's cluttered. And often when something is cluttered, you can't work clearly. So here it's saying that, well, a cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind, where there's no organisation to our thoughts. So fewer possessions and commitments can reduce stress and overwhelm. It improves focus. When distractions are removed, it becomes easier to concentrate on work, relationships, and personal goals. Third beneficial area, better use of time. Minimalism encourages intentional choices. So again, we're looking at that word intentional, meaning that we chose to do it. It is a decisive action. And, encouraging intentional choices helps people spend their time on what really matters, rather than unnecessary tasks. And then we come back to the financial benefits. Buying fewer things, of course, naturally, saves money. And this makes us think about what we spend, rather than just impulse purchases. If we buy something out of impulse, it is without a lot of thought. We've all done it. You know, you go past the shop, you see a jacket, you impulse buy it. Again, I'm not saying that that is a massive problem, but everything is within balance, isn't it? And the fifth beneficial area is greater appreciation. Owning less often leads to valuing what you already have more deeply. So minimalism is not about sacrifice. It's not about going without. It's about clarity and intention. So that's the idea. And I thought it's important to go through that, because when we talk about this idea of minimalism, we're not talking about throwing away everything that you own, but perhaps just creating more clarity in life. So they're the benefits. And I thought they're quite interesting. You know, reduced stress, improved focus, better use of time, financial benefits. And I particularly like that fifth one, greater appreciation. Owning less means we value, or we put a higher value, we care more about what we already have. So let's get into these 10 minimalist rules. Okay, so these are kind of the rules that a minimalist would live by. And again, I'm not saying that we should live by all of these rules no matter what, but perhaps there are some ideas here that stand out to you. Perhaps there's some thoughts here where you think, oh, I do that, or, you know, yeah, I might try and do that in my life. So as we go through these, please share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know which one stands out to you. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Applying our own opinions, our own thought process to these is a great way of one, retaining what we learn, but also expressing our own opinions in English. So here's the first minimalist rule. Keep only what adds value. Okay? Keep only what adds value. If something has no purpose or meaning in your life, consider removing it. So this is, I like this point. I was thinking about this before because I'm a collector. As many long-term listeners of the podcast will know, I like collecting different memorabilia. I like Star Wars figures, and I mostly like collecting model cars. Yes, I am a child. But they have no purpose. So if we were just going down that route of throw away everything that has no purpose, then a lot of my stuff will be thrown away. But the idea here is that it's throwing away what has no purpose or meaning in your life. And that changes it a bit, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of things we own that do have no purpose. I think of half the things I'm looking at that you can't see in my office. They have no purpose, but they 100% have meaning to me. Every car that I've bought or has been bought for me, there's a memory attached to that. There's a level of meaning. But there's some bits that don't have any meaning. There's papers on the side. There's files. There's even, just little bits and bobs that are stuck around that they don't have meaning. They are creating clutter. As an example, you may own many books, but never plan to read most of them. Keep the ones you love, donate the rest. There's many people that see a book, they buy it. It might have meaning to you, but it may really not have meaning to you. You've got no intention of reading it. You've just got a pile of books that's accumulating. It's just there. Perhaps if we take this minimalist approach, we get rid of the ones that we're not going to read, that have no meaning, no sentimental value. That's the idea. We keep only what adds value. And that's not in a financial way, is it? What adds value is to us emotionally, physically, and I guess financially to a certain extent. The second point, this is a difficult one. One in, one out. For every new item you bring into your life, remove one existing item. I'm not going to do this one. Perhaps you will. I think this might be a good one depending what items we're talking about. For example, if you've got a massive shoe collection, if you want to buy a new pair of shoes, maybe get rid of an old pair that you no longer wear. But then I guess those shoes might have meaning to you. Well, it's subjective, isn't it? But the idea here is that one in, one out. If you buy a new pair of shoes, donate or recycle an old pair you no longer wear. That is the minimalist mindset. I think that's difficult to do though. Because what if you're a collector of shoes? For example, if I buy a new model car, I'm not going to get rid of one. It's my collection. It's what I love. So I guess this would apply to things that don't have a lot of meaning. I don't know. Maybe I don't fully understand it. The third area is to declutter regularly. So we talked about that term, clutter. If there's clutter, there's just loads of stuff around. Just stuff we don't need. It's lacking organization and creates stress. Well, the idea here is to declutter. Remove the clutter. So if we want to live a minimalist life, or this idea of minimalism, we declutter regularly. Minimalism is an ongoing habit, not a one-time activity. So the example here, spend 10 minutes each week tidying one small area rather than trying to declutter everything at once. I thought this was quite a healthy approach to this because, sometimes on impulse you think, right, I'm decluttering my whole house. I'm getting rid of everything. It's gone. And we do that once a year or once every other year. That's not healthy, is it? It's almost impulsive, which is really what we're going against when it comes to minimalism. Minimalism is intentional. So the idea here is, just declutter a little bit, but do it regularly. Maybe that's one kitchen cupboard, one room in your house, one shelf on your bookcase. Just declutter that one area. And then next week, do another area. And we just repeat that process. Decluttering regularly. Minimalism is not an impulsive, day-long activity. It's a lifestyle choice, isn't it? It's a habit. And when we have a habit, it's ongoing. That's a really good suggestion. Number 4, to minimalism, buy with intention. Avoid impulse buying by pausing before making purchases. Are you an impulse buyer? If you see it, do you buy it? And this isn't about whether we have the money or not. It's just about clutter, isn't it? It's about buying for the sake of buying, letting that impulsive mindset take over. Great suggestion here. Wait 24 to 48 hours before buying something non-essential to decide whether you truly need it. My dad always said this to me. He said, if you're thinking about it the next day, perhaps you do really want it. I thought that's quite a good rule to go by. When we buy something, we are just adding to what we already have. And that, in turn, can add to the stress, the anxieties. So a minimalist would try to change the mindset of impulsive buying with intention. Thinking about it, taking the time. Do I truly need this? Or can I go without? The 5th point to a minimalist life, prioritize experiences over possessions. Experiences often create longer lasting happiness than objects. This is something that I've particularly started to realize and acknowledge as I've got older. I don't know about you. I'm 36 this year. But if someone says, I want to get you a gift, what do you want? I often say, let's just go out for a pint. Let's go for a meal. Let's do something. Let's go for a walk. Because objects, although they're nice, if you ever want to buy me a model car, don't ever, if any of my friends and family are listening to this, which I'm probably not, don't stop buying me model cars. But it's the idea that experiences hold greater value than possessions many of the time. So choose a weekend trip or a shared meal instead of buying another decorative item. And I thought this is quite a nice idea, perhaps for someone else. If it's time to get them a gift, maybe take them out for a coffee rather than buying them something. Maybe take them out for dinner. Take them out for a walk, to see a show, to experience life together, rather than just adding another possession to their life or to your life. Longer lasting happiness, of course, meaning that it just simply lasts longer. It's true, and often when you buy an object, I used to be like this with cars, that there used to be a car that I really, really wanted. It was nothing fancy, but it's just a car that I wanted. I'd buy that car for not a lot of money. And then 6 months down the line, I'd be a little bit bored of that car. The happiness, the excitement, the enjoyment from owning that car has waned a fair bit. And that's true with objects, isn't it? That we might strive to own something, we might save up for it, but after a certain period of time, the joy that comes from that, the happiness that comes from it could wane. It could go down a little bit. An experience doesn't, does it? You think about that memory. And no matter what, although, well, it's not more minimalist, I don't know. But although it's in the past, you treasure that and you value it more. But also, we're keeping our life clutter-free. The next point in this minimalist rule is to simplify your schedule. Being busy does not always mean being productive or fulfilled. It's true, isn't it? It's not just about what we own. A busy person does not mean that their day's been productive. It does not mean that they have successfully achieved more than you. Sometimes it just means that there's really bad scheduling. And actually the key to doing more, to achieving more, to attaining more, is to simplify. What do we mean by that? Well, say no to commitments that drain your energy. You know, sometimes, I don't know about you, but in social settings, even with friends and ones that I love, you can come away, you've had a great time, but your energy is drained. It's like you've left a battery in use. What happens? That battery's not going to last forever. It drains out. So sometimes we refer to our energy like that. A certain commitment or experience or whatever it is can drain our energy. So maybe we need to say no a little bit more. Is it wrong to say no? Or perhaps they don't align with your priorities. Maybe this is to do with work, your career. Sometimes, it doesn't align, or it doesn't go in line. It doesn't work along with your priorities, what you want to achieve, what you stand for. So sometimes we need to just simplify our schedule a bit. And this is one that I think is a really good point that I'm going to take from this kind of minimalist lifestyle. Perhaps, sometimes just simplifying our schedule, saying no to commitments might be the way to do it. Now, this next one is really interesting. Reduce digital clutter. Now, if you go onto your emails right now on your phone, how many emails do you have? I did this. Okay. Do you know how many unread emails I have on my iPhone? I've got over 10,000. I've got 13,000. I know that's terrible. But I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot of them were there. Maybe that's the thing. Let me know in the comments, how many unread emails have you got? But it's all digital clutter, isn't it? And this idea of minimalism applies to phones, emails, and online habits. So maybe we could benefit from deleting unused apps, unsubscribe from emails you never read, limit your social media time, how much time you're on your phone, reducing just that digital clutter. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes digitally? It's just stuff everywhere, isn't there? You go on your phone, it's emails, it's notifications, it's this, it's that, it's blah, blah, blah. Reduce it. Again, we're talking about reducing stress, reducing clutter. And I think if we reduce that digital clutter, it also helps us mentally, doesn't it? I thought that's a great point. And that's one I'm going to take from this. This idea of minimalism is reducing my digital clutter. The 8th point was to choose quality over quantity. I'm a firm advocate for this. Quality, of course, being the standard at which something is made. Quantity is the amount. Well-made items often last longer and bring more satisfaction. Of course, this is dependent on financial situations, but the idea here is, for example, invest in one durable coat instead of several cheaper ones that wear out quickly. So the idea here is, of course, if you're in a financial bind where you do have to buy the cheaper option, that's not what this is talking about. That's just what you've got to do. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. That's not for me to say. But if you've got the same amount of money where you can invest in one really durable, great coat, or buying several cheaper ones, just buy that one great coat rather than cluttering your life with several cheaper ones. I'm a believer of this. I like to just save up more and buy a nice quality jumper because it just lasts me longer. But also, when we come home, we've got less, haven't we? And that's the idea. We buy several coats for the same amount of money. We're just cluttering up our wardrobe. What's the point? Perhaps we're thinking of shoes. Why not buy one nice pair of shoes rather than 5 cheaper pairs? That's the idea. The 9th point, make space for rest. Rest is essential for a balanced and meaningful life. Leave free time in your diary for rest, reflection, or creative thinking. This is circumstantial. Sometimes we just simply don't have the time. But perhaps the minimalist idea here is that we don't have to fill our time, all of our time, with something to do. Perhaps it's just about, just stopping, being present, reflect, think, rather than just always doing. And the 10th point, or the minimalist rule, is to create your own version of minimalism. Minimalism looks different for everyone. For example, a minimalist family may own more items than a minimalist student. It's true, isn't it? A family's going to have a lot more than a student. And that is perfectly acceptable if those items are useful and meaningful. So really, it's an honest reflection of ourselves, this idea of minimalism. Do we need it? Within our circumstances, within our situation, do we need everything we have, everything we do, everything we fill our schedule with, our routines with? Is it adding value or is it just clutter? So they're the 10 rules of minimalist, being a minimalist. Keep only what adds value, one in, one out, declutter regularly, buy with intention, prioritize experiences over possessions, simplify your schedule, reduce digital clutter, choose quality over quantity, make space for rest, and create your own version of minimalism. And I just think there's some great points there. But I'm not going to come away from this saying that I'm going to live as a minimalist now. I am a minimalist. But I think we can all benefit from this idea of minimalism in one way or another. And it comes back, or for me, it comes back to that term, clutter. How cluttered is our life? Is there room to declutter physically, emotionally, digitally? I think some people from the research that I did take this to the extreme and they live an ultimately simple life. That's not for me. Might be for you. Great. But I think for me, if I'm being completely honest, there are definitely areas where I could take a more minimalist approach. Very good. So if you got to this point in the podcast, the secret word is clutter. Okay? It's not minimalism, because I think you would have guessed that. Clutter. C-L-U-T-T-E-R. If you did get to this point in the podcast, please write that in the comments. And as always, share your own thoughts. Let me know what you think about minimalism. Is it for you? or is it not for you? Which points from this are you going to take away? So, of course, this podcast is designed to help you improve your English. So hopefully there's some new vocabulary for you there. Hopefully it gave you a chance just to listen to real English conversation in a relaxed way. And I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you as always for watching and listening, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.